let's discuss about the other thing important, that is access.log. Then we have request.log, and then there is audit.log. These three are pretty important to do any security check and to do any performance check. Like if you want, okay, the performance is not good and you wanted to see which all pages are consuming how much time, plus any security related, any threat related, that okay, which user access which instance at which time and from where, all those also information can be accessed through access, audit, and request log. So firstly, let's discuss about the performance. Let's consider that you get a scenario that okay, some of the pages are consuming a lot of time and you are getting regular spikes because of those pages. Now, to know which all pages are causing performance issue or hampering the performance, is the first thing that you will do is you will go inside the request.log. Remember, request.log give you the information about the performance. It's not that okay, it will say the performance is good or not, but it gives you the time taken by each request to serve a page. So any page that is requested will be served, and the information for that will be logged inside the request.log. So here if you see that there are so many requests, so many requests, like you can see, and here it says, see, this is the time, date and time, and this inside the bracket is pretty important, that helps you identify each and everything. So this is my thread ID. So my thread ID is 10882. What you best do is you double click this. So here you can see this is the request for this and this is the response. So what it said is, because through arrow only it is indicated. So it says when the request is made, it was a get type of request and the request was made to this URL and it was then served to us. The important thing is that I match the thread ID. So here in the thread ID, I said, okay, it is returned back with a 200 response and the response type is this. And the important thing is how much time it took to serve that request. Okay. So performance related things, any performance that okay, which page consumes how much time. So here you can give the request and the response, like this is the request and this is the response. So when the response came, it was okay 200. That's pretty good because you get a 200, and it took 3 seconds to return the response.
Sorry, one more time again. That thing in the bracket, what was that?
That is thread ID. Thread ID. So every request that comes would have a thread number. You go inside some hospital or somewhere, you get a token ID. So similarly, when a request comes, it gets a thread ID that okay, it is being given a thread to execute or to run on our server. Now every thread that will get started would have a unique ID. So this is the thread ID to know okay, what was the request and what was the response. So here the request was being made and here the response is returned with 200 and all that. Okay?
Yes.
You can ask questions if you have any.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So this was my request.log, which helps you identify the performance. The next is the audit. Okay, audit is empty. That's pretty strange. Okay. I will check why is it empty. Okay, let's firstly discuss about this. We have the access.log. So if I open the access.log, actually gives you the information about the end user who is accessing the page and whether it's a security constraint, plus is it necessary like to come on even sorry, it is just a minute. Sorry. So this was request.log, and then inside the access.log, so from which user the request is coming? and it gives all the information about what time the request is being made, and the user type, the date, time, the IP details of the end user, everything is being logged inside the with respect to end user. Like if you have to see that okay, some malicious user is trying to access your website, so you wanted to know the IP and the details of that user, so that all those details would be logged inside the access log. So you can see the IP since I am using, so that is why it is giving localhost. I always log in with admin, and this is the date when I like perform some 23rd May, and like I made a GET request. All these things get logged over here. Everything get logged over here. This is my access.log. So if you wanted to know which user performed which operation on like which path, all those things can be like all the security checks can be done from here. Any malicious user is hitting your site, that you can get to know from access.log. Okay.
Yeah.
We discussed about access request, and there was one another. Okay, these two. So system error get, so see, when these two are used when your server is starting up and stopping down. So when your server is starting up and any error occur, then it will be logged inside std error. So std error should always be empty during your startup. If it's full, if it is filled, then it is that there is some issue. So here you can see why is it my system error has some information, because it says insufficient heap memory and also available memory below specified limit and low memory action. So that is why to give this warning, there are logs that get printed inside system error. And rest all the basic informational log, like here I started my AEM instance, and all these logs, informational logs that get printed in the command prompt also get logged inside system output log. So system output log has all the basic logs when a server gets started. So all those logs are stored inside system log. Plus system error has all the error, any error during startup, all those logs get printed over here. Okay. Okay. Now, this was the basic information. So the other important thing is here you can see like access.log has, okay, so this was published. So why we are, okay, let's go and see inside the author one. So here I am inside the author. So if I go inside the access, okay, this is the audit. Okay, so history.log. This history is also pretty important. History log actually tells which user performed what type of operation and on which page. So here you can see, since I logged in as the admin and I performed view operation on this particular page at this time. Now let me do one thing. Let me create a new page by the name new test page. So that information will also be logged over here. So if I go to this, and if I create a new page over here, is at the sample project this yen, and let me delete this. Okay, this experience fragment page, let me delete this page. So if I will delete this, so the same information get logged inside the history.log. If I open this, you will see, yes. So here you can see this information gets logged over here. I deleted this thing. So that is why, just reload it. Yeah. If I make any changes, like let me just create a new page over here. Let me name it as new test page. So that information will also get logged over here. New test page. Okay. And let me just create it, open it. And if I open my page, yeah, you can see it's reloading, and you can see I edited, and this is the page, and it gave me all the information. Okay. So someone accidentally delete or modify anything and you want to backtrack, the best is that you can go inside the history.log. To find any malicious user activities, you can go inside access.log. For performance perspective, you can go inside request.log plus system error and system output. Any questions, any queries on this of how you would find which particular type of log files would have which particular type of information?
So if say I want to figure out that who's activated or deactivated some of the pages.
Since those are operational related, so those information will go inside error log only.
Okay. It will give the user as well, right? The username. Who did what?
So what you said, come again, sorry.
I mean, in this one, it would give us the username as well, right? Like who did what, like who deactivated the page.
That information either you get it from access.log or history.log. So if you want to get the information related to which user performed which type of work, that can be seen from history. And if you want to see more inside detail, like which user from which IP performed action on which page and all those things, like from where the request came, all those things can be seen over here, access.log. Like if I open this access.log, you would see a lot of information. Let me just open this again, access.log. Yeah, so here you can see that okay, this is the user admin at this particular time. The request came. It was a GET request to this URL, and it was an HTTP request. The response was 200. I don't know what is this 103, and the request was made over here. From which browser the request was being made? The Windows, everything get logged over here. Any malicious activity you want to find out for any script or for any user, you can find it from the access.log. History logs tells you okay what action is being performed on the content by which particular user. Like okay, someone accidentally deleted any page or modified any content, and you wanted to find out who was that user who performed the modification. Then use history.log. Access.log is for malicious activity. Questions?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, if I go inside my system console, config manager, configuration manager, if you remember, so not system console, and here you can see below link, you have a link that is log support. So here you can go inside the log support, and here also you can see all the logs. Like here you can see the error log, audit log, request log, access, all the logs you can see over here. Like let me open the history log. So if I open the history log, you can see the logs that were there inside the notepad are also printed over here. Like these three lines are also over here as well. But it is not a good way to see or to analyze the logs by going over here, because it will create the load on your AEM server only. So better is that you see the logs from the CRX Pack Manager, logs, and then which type of log file you want to see. So inside the CRX folder again, and then inside the logs, you have all the necessary logs. And there is a backup of each and every log that is being kept for the last, I think, 7 days, 6, 7. That also is a configuration that we can update on fly. If we want to change like this, the previous log file name and how long you want to keep this file, these are all configurable.
Okay.
Questions, doubts?
think so far okay.
See, mainly from application perspective, how your application is running, any error in the application, it's of course error.log.
Mhm.
Any performance related, it's request.log. Any access related, that okay, which user performed which operation or which type of node, then it's audit.log. And of course audit history access, and yeah, then request std error and std system output error and system output, like error and system output, yeah, both of these two also when any error occurs during startup of server, and the normal logs that gets printed during AEM startup. Okay.
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 Alright.
One more thing I would tell you today. Okay. Now, see, error.log contains all your application specific log plus all the AEM logic or AEM application related logs as well. Everything application related, whether it's your or whether the Adobe AEM application, all those logs get printed inside error.log. Agreed?
Yes.
Now, consider a situation that you are working on a complex requirement which has some complex Java file to be written, and you are working on that, and then you plan to deploy it. But all your that application logs would also be printed inside this error.log only. So it becomes sometimes very difficult to find out your specific log. So what you can do is AEM also provide a functionality where you can create your custom log file. By using that custom log file, all the logs specific to your application only, when I'm saying only, related to your application only, will be logged inside that custom log. So that makes the thing easier for the developer to analyze their logs, because the logs will not contain any other information except your logs. Okay, let me show you how you create the custom log file. So if I go inside the system console config manager, so if you're working on a complex requirement, all the logs need to get logged inside that file. So it becomes easy to identify. So if I go and search for logging logger configuration, so here you can see all the configuration for all the type of log files. These are all the configuration, like it says logger.access, logger.audit, audit log, logger.error. So what all are the error files that are being shown over here is that the log files are actually configured over here. Got my point?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you wanted to create your custom log, and let's say, what is your custom files? Your custom files are stored below the OMS sample core, because you created all your Java files below this folder. Am I right?
Yes.
So what we will do is we will go inside this Apache Sling logging logger configuration and click on this plus, and here you can see it gives us this dialog. It says what type of logs will get printed, whether information, whether debug, and what type of logs. So I said debug, and here you can give the name of your log file. So I said inside the log, it's sample minus error.log. Okay. So I said, I will tell you about this log level. What is the purpose of this? But here inside the log file, we said the name of the file wherever logs will be printed or will be inputted. And also there is this logger folder. This logger folder actually tells on which on which package or for which files your log should get printed inside the custom log. So this custom log would only print the Java files which will be presented below this package. So what is our package? Our package is as we know, all our Java files are stored below the com sample core. So this is a package where all of below which all our Java files are stored. In the logger, I will provide my package name, and all the Java files below this will be stored over inside this sample error.log. So if I save it, see what name I gave is sample error.log. Now if you will see inside the logs, there is no such file sample. Okay.
Yeah.
But the time I will save it, and you can see in a minute, you can see the sample error gets created. See, the time I save it, the sample error gets created and the size is 0.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, all the custom logs, any custom log. So how will you print the custom logs is like logging. Let me just show it to you. Close others. Let me just, why do I write it? Let me just copy it from somewhere. So here I have the sample configuration. Yeah. So if I go over here inside over here, but let me go inside some filters. Okay, logging filter. Okay, this is our logging filter. Just a minute. Okay, let me just copy it from here. Inside the scheduler, sorry. Yeah, let me just scroll. Yeah. Okay. So here we created the object of our logger. The same is what we are going to create over in our NO4 file. Like let me create it inside the service. So here this is my service, and I created the object of my logger over here. Okay, and now how you can print the logs is, so by AEM makes the use of SLF4J library to print the logs. So you can print either info log, either warning, debug, or then there is info, warning, debug. Yeah, there is one more I will tell you. So here, if I will show it to you now. Even like here, if I go inside this get full name or get URL, what I will do is I will use the logger dot. So here you can see debug. Either you can print debug, you can print error type of log, you can print info type of log, or trace also, trace and warning. So if I wanted to print debug log, so if you remember the log file that we created was, what was the name? Logging logger. So over here we created this as our custom log, and what we did is we gave the log level as debug. Okay. So here what I'm saying is, since the level is debug, so it means our Java file would have, if any debug log, that will be printed, and info, warning, error. So all these type of logs till debug will be printed because it's a log level. Okay, since it's a log level, and if I selected it as debug, then all the debug, informational, error, and warning message will be printed and not trace. Consider if the log level is information, then the logs of type information, warning, and error only will be printed. Okay, so if I use this as debug, and here in my code, if I say logger.debug and whatever you want it to stay inside debug of get user details. Okay. Similarly, let's print the other ones as well. So what type of logs are there? Here, if we can see, one is debug, then we have info, warning, error. Let me make it as trace. Okay, so trace, debug, then info, then warning, and what was the last one? What was the last one? Error. Okay. So this way, you can use different log levels to print different type of log. So log level has its purpose, like debug, info, warning, error message you will also printed inside a try catch exception block. If some exception occurs, then only you will use the trace this logger dot error. Okay, now if I will deploy this code, it's debug, it's trace. So let's say inside trace, it's debug, it's info. So inside info, inside warning, inside error, inside error. Okay, and now let's do. Okay, so what I did is I created this custom log file so that all my application specific. How did I made it as application specific? By using this logger property. Are you able to follow me, or I'm going a bit fast?
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
To print your logs files related to your custom application, you use this package name inside the logger property. And here we give the name of our custom file, and then this is a log level which says what all type of logs that you want to print inside your log file. And this is how we print or we display logs.
Yes.
Whatever, like here, debug will be used in case if you want to debug application. Error will be used, of course, inside the catch block. Warning will be used, like basically see, you can use any type of log at any place, but there is a proper place to use a particular type of log level. Like of course, if you use the logger dot error inside any simple start of method, of course, it doesn't make any sense. It will give wrong information to some other developer who will be reviewing the logs. Okay. Similarly, info log will be print like at normal when method start and method ends. Debug log are being used when you want to debug some application. If application is failing and you wanted to debug, where exactly is it failing? Okay. Always on prod instance, it is being said that you set your log level to info. Okay, and no above it, not above it, because if you set the info log level, then all the info and warning and error logs are printed, but not debug and trace. Okay. So on prod, always remember you should set your log level as info. So our code, I think it's build. Let's just see what was the name of our method. We get URL details. Let me just refresh my this. Where is my page? This page. Okay. So if I will refresh my this page, just refreshed. Of course, I know it has this component which is calling my model, and my model is calling my service where my logs are getting printed. So if I open the logs and it is still empty. Yeah, here you can see the sample error has some text because it has some size. So here, let's see if these errors are being printed. Now, since my log level, what is my log level? Log level was debug. So this log should not be printed, but this trace one should not be printed, but all these four should be printed. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
So if I copy this and search it inside the log file, yeah, you can see it's over here. It's over here. Then the next one. This was debug of user details. Okay, let me just copy this. Print this. This is debug. This is info. This is warning. This is there, but there is no trace. And also you can see this type is debug. The type is info over here. The type is warning and type is error. And now see at runtime, sometime on prod, if you are getting some error, and on prod we always know that the log level should be information. But if you wanted to see other type of logs as well, just at that time just change the log level to some other, and save, and immediately you would be able to see your trace logs as well. Like if I do this and if I go to the bottom, let me just hide this. Okay. I think I have to refresh it. I missed to refresh. Yeah. Let me just open and close my dialog. Hide this. Yeah. Yeah. So here you can see the trace logs have now also been printed. Because I changed my log level.
Yeah.
So by setting the suitable log level, those and the logs below that will be printed. Logging logger. So here I have this, and what I did is I made my custom error log, my log file, sample error, and what I said is that all the Java files below this package, the logs for all those files should get printed inside my this particular file. So it becomes easy that okay, it will not go inside the error.log, but it will come separately inside this log file. So it becomes easy for the developer to check the logs, and the logs doesn't get mixed with the other functionality logs. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
And how would you use logs in your code? Just use the SLF4J library, the one that we used over here. So if you see over here, it is an SLF4J, ORG SLF4J library. Just create the instance, this variable, and use the different type of logs methods, whether trace, debug, info, warning, error. Error, of course, we use instead the catch. Warning is being used. See, warning, when do you think warning will be used? Warning will be used when some API has been deprecated and you know that the API is deprecated. You like your custom code is deprecated or is like out of scope code, but you do not want to delete it. So you can print an logger.warning. So when some other developer will come and see this type of warning log in the log, so you will be able to know that okay, as of now it's okay, but I have to upgrade this code because this is a warning. Because this is a warning, and anytime in the future it can get converted into error. Okay, but this can cause issues. Info log is simple, like starting of the method, ending, some basic information like info log. Debug basically is printed at a lot of places to debug where if your application is failing, maybe you best is you put the debug logs at multiple location, and that way you can get to know what is the value coming. And on production, we always set the log level as info and not debug, because we use a lot of debug logs inside our code. Only in case if something is breaking in the middle or production, then just quietly change the log level to debug. Because if you always set the log level to debug, then a whole lot of logs will be printed on the production server, and it will reduce the size, or it will take a lot of size on your production server machine.
Yeah.
Always keep the size. To keep the size as less, use the log level as info.
Okay.
So we discussed about firstly the different type of log files, the error log file, the history log, audit log, and request log, and system output and system error. What is the purpose of those? Under which circumstance you should use which one? Okay. Now the most important one was the error one, because all the application related logs get printed over there. But if you want your application, your specific application should get printed in a separate log file, create a custom logging logger configuration. Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions, any doubts?
So far, okay.
Okay. I think it's enough for today. Okay.
Thank you so much.
One last thing which I wanted to tell you was this, a very basic thing. If your application is failing, somewhere your code is failing, the first thing that you should do is you should go inside System Console bundles, and here you should see that all your bundles should be in active state. Here you can see one bundle is in installed state. That means that bundle would not be working and would have some issue. So here you can see this AEM modernized tool, although it is an out of box, or you can say some AEM utility, it is in installed state, but it means that the functionality that this AEM modernized tool provides will not be working on your current instance. So one thing you have to make sure that your bundles, your custom bundles and your out of box bundle, like your custom bundle was the sample one. So here the sample bundle should always be in active state. If it's not in active state, it means it is not working and there is some issue. The second important thing is if you go inside the configuration, here you have the third, this components, the second option. So it gives you an information about all your services that you have created and tells you if your services are in active state or not. Like we created our sample service. So this sample service would be listed over here. And if I show you sample service, yeah, sample service and all the out of box service are listed over here. And always remember that your service again should be in active state. If it is not in active state, it means there is some issue. Like here you can see some out of box service, it's in satisfied state. If it's in satisfied or unsatisfied state, it means your service is not working. So somewhere if you feel that okay, your code is not working and mainly in your code it is your service, then go inside the system console components and here see if your service is in active state or not. Okay, and also if it is not in active state, then you can click over there and you can get more information why it is not in active. So here you can get some more information that okay, activation has been delayed and it's enabled. Like you can maybe you can get some more information from here. Okay, and still if you're not able to get it, then what you can do is you can try to start it. Like here it is in satisfied, you can try to start it. It is in the background, it is getting started. And in the error.log, see, because it is an out of box Java AEM provided, so all the logs related to this will be printed inside error.log. Okay. If you want to print this, the logs for this in a separate log file, just copy this package name, like this package name, and create a separate error custom log files in the logging logger utility. So here you can at least go inside the error logs and try to see what exactly is breaking and why your this service is not getting started. Okay.
Okay.
One more thing, most of the time this also tends to be the issue is that you always after your deployment, when your multiple modules gets deployed, is you always make sure you check after deployment that all your bundles, like here you can your bundles get created in a categories form like here. So our mine one is inside the com.sample. So always make sure that all your bundles should be in installed state. Like if I click over here, it says reinstall. Like here it says, like here you can see it is in share. So it means it's in installed state. If some bundle is not in installed state, then it means that there is some issue and that thing will not be working properly. Okay, so another troubleshooting.